Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today it's gonna be a little bit different because the last two cook videos that I already showed are basically what we're serving. So we're serving the Korean beef rib for the kalbi plate, and then doing the pork belly for the posam. So I didn't want to show you guys everything I'm doing there, but right now we're headed over to Green Street to pick up some beef ribs. We're not going to cook these right away, but we're just going to kind of get ahead right now and just make sure we have everything in place so that when we do have to start cooking and do all this kind of prep, that we're ready to go. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright guys, so we just picked up the beef ribs from Green Street and I'm on my way back home. And I think right now, especially as I'm just driving, I got a couple thoughts in my head, and I figured instead of just thinking to myself, I'd talk out loud and share my thoughts with you guys. I think one thing that I wanted to talk about, especially for this pop-up in particular, why I decided to do this Korean barbecue one. I think for myself right now, not that I'm any expert on Korean food at all. I probably know more about barbecue than I do Korean food. I don't know, I just felt like, especially with Korean food, there are certain things that people associate certain flavors with, but I just feel like there isn't any Korean person really doing it. Last time I did a very traditional brisket, ribs, and sausage, and I thought it was great. For this one, I just said, you know what, let's just go all out and let's just do Korean. And so, it's a little nerve-wracking, I'll say. Right now we got pre-orders coming in, and I think we're almost sold out of beef ribs, which was to be expected. But the posam, the pork belly dish, which I really like, one's not selling as well, and I don't think it's because it's pork belly. I think it's just kind of like with everything that kind of comes with it. I think that writing on the menu that it's served with like fermented shrimp is something that I think most people look at like, I'm good, but I wanted to keep it traditional and I wanted to keep it authentic. And so, regardless of if people choose to eat it or not, it'll be on there, and they can choose to put as much or as little as they want. I don't know if this is everybody, but this is just something that my friends and I do when we go to like Korean restaurants. Like, if you try to describe Korean dishes, they don't sound the most appetizing. I feel like in a lot of American food, there's a lot of frying, there's a lot of butter-based thing, there's a lot of, I don't know, just like stuff like that we're used to hearing here in America. But, trying to translate that onto a menu, but trying to explain the cooking process of something the way that Koreans would do it is not what we're used to hearing. And so yeah, I don't know, but this pop-up really is for me to put myself out there, put Korean food out there. That's the main intent, and also to kind of push people outside of their comfort zone a little bit. I find that there's a lot of people who call themselves adventurous eaters, but I don't really think that it's true. Like, they tend to eat basically different versions of the same foods, and to me, like, eating 15 different types of burgers is not the same thing as, trying to eat food from different places and from different cultures, and challenging yourself by eating foods of different textures and temperatures. And I think that's the fun part of being an adventurous eater, is that you're eating foods that you typically wouldn't. It's coming in a form that you've never seen it before. I think it's like really fun to find those foods that actually stump me, because I typically will like everything, or at least try everything. My only job for this pop-up is to make sure I cook the food as best as I can, to keep it true to what I think it should be, and just let other people decide whether or not that's something that they want. Usually I'm a lot more anxious this week, because I was just thinking like, oh man, what if people don't like it? What if people don't get what I'm trying to do? What if no one comes? You know, what if I bought all this stuff and now I just got to make like 18 different videos of beef ribs and pork belly? But we are selling food. People are coming. Got a lot of people saying that they're excited about this one. So I think at this point, any feeling of anxiety or nervousness or anything like that is really just excitement. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. All right, guys, so today what we're going to be focusing on is just getting some like veggie prep done, just so that we don't have to do all like that tedious work, the day of. So this is Saturday, so yeah, we're going to knock out a bunch of stuff, like the pickling stuff for the posam, all that kind of stuff I did ahead of time, because those things just need a little more time. But today is just about getting all that like fresh veggie prep done, and then tomorrow we're going to be cooking the beef ribs. So yeah, just letting you guys know what we're doing today. Alright guys, so we're kind of close to being done today. I'm going to knock out some dishes, but in terms of most of the prep that I felt like I need to get done today, like tedious things that I didn't want to worry about, later on. And if you're doing these pop-ups by yourself, like I am for the most part for this one, my mom is definitely helping me out with a lot of stuff as well, so that's really helpful. But in terms of like majority of things that if you're going to be doing them yourself, scheduling things out and knocking out things ahead of time is really, really important. And if you guys are new to this channel, you plan on doing some pop-ups or are just kind of curious about how to plan for one, I have a 2-part video, one where I explain how I build my schedule, and the second part is me just kind of going through it. I've got a lot of good feedback from a lot of people who have been using that as a template, not using exactly the way I've done it, but a way for them to kind of plan out their own. The second video in particular shares a lot more detail about things that I don't often talk about in my other just cooking videos, and just the flow of all that kind of stuff is really important, just because things start to add up very quickly if you don't schedule things ahead of time. But yeah, at least for today, this is kind of it. I'm gonna finish these dishes. I'll probably have to do a couple more stuff off camera, but I really don't want to slow down to record all this stuff. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning when we start the fire for the smoker. All right, so good morning, everyone. It's now Sunday morning. Right now it's about 7 o'clock right now. I got up a little bit before 6 just to kind of get the fire started, just because it is a little bit colder out today. So unfortunately, it's going to get a lot warmer in Chicago after today, but it was a lot colder and way windier the last 2 days. So thankfully we're like kind of rolling into some warmer weather. But yeah, I think it's like about 20 degrees right now. The high is about 40. So yeah, it's still fairly cold, but not anything that I'm like unfamiliar with. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be putting on the meat on probably for another hour or so. So probably around 8:30. But I got the fire started around 6 because, like I said, and if you guys don't believe me and you guys don't think I follow the same advice I tell you guys, one of the tips I told you guys about cooking in cold weather is to start your fire early. So, which is literally why I roll out of bed and then I already had my chimney filled from last night, and all I had to do was light it. So yeah, please make sure you guys do so. If you guys are cooking in cold weather, start the fire early, because I even put my hand on top of that cooking chamber and it still wasn't quite hot yet, and it's been going for almost an hour. Wood is still kind of green too, so I want to make sure that the logs I put in there right now start to produce real coals before I start putting in some fresh logs in there. We're just watching fires all day today, doing some prep, portioning out that pork belly, and that's it. So honestly, probably ain't gonna show you guys too much about today. So one of the things that I always kind of keep in mind is, as we recipe test and try different things, is to figure out, how we can make certain dishes better, as long as it's not too much of a burden to kind of like do during service and stuff like that. I wanted to make the posam itself still be traditional, but at the same time still allow it to have as much flavor as possible. What I decided to do, I kind of did this when I was kind of recipe testing this with my parents the second time. We took the liquid that we cooked the pork belly in, and then we're going to strain it. I'm going to reduce it, and then I'm going to season it just a little bit more. We're going to have all the pork belly be sliced ahead of time so that we know how many portions we got, and right before we put it on the tray, we're going to basically dunk it in the broth again. I guess the way that you could think about it is like a French dip sandwich, or like an Italian beef. We're just refortifying those flavors again. The thing that we found when we did that is it gave a lot better sheen on it, when we put it on the tray, and also it just added another layer of flavor and a little bit more smokiness too, which is really nice. Just wanted to keep you guys in the loop, just because it's going to be served a little bit differently than last time. All right, so we got our scallion split up while I'm watching Monsters Inc. And now we got to shred this all up. Alright guys, so it's about midnight right now, and we're basically done for today. It's been a long day. Because we did a lot of work today, tomorrow is going to be pretty easy for the most part. What we have to do is really pack things up. We got a couple of last minute things that we got to do, but nothing that should slow us down too much. Definitely very, very thankful for my parents helping me out with this pop-up. I'm really thankful for my mom, who can kind of figure things out a little bit quicker than I can. And even my dad just kind of being there, and he's just wanting to help out wherever he can, like he did with the scallions earlier. So, and he also peeled all the garlic that we used for this week, which was a lot. A lot of people have been asking about this, about where to get that scallion shredder. They sell it on Amazon, and I found something similar to it. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put a link down below where all my equipment stuff is. If you guys are wanting to have a scallion shredder for yourself at home, check out the link down below. The last couple of weeks have been pretty cool, just to kind of share with them why I chose to do a pop-up like this, and they understand why I'm trying to do this and why I want to keep it super traditional. Because even for them, like, they understand that if we change things up a little bit, it would be a lot more appealing to most people. But you know, I think we're all kind of on the same page of wanting to keep it as traditional as possible. Thing to think about is, you know, whether or not people are going to understand what we're trying to do. And more importantly, like I always said, it doesn't really matter, you know, what your concept is. It doesn't matter what your theme is or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Ultimately, at the end of the day, your food has to be good. So, you know, I think that Korean food is good, and that's why I try to keep it as traditional as possible, because I do think it is and can be something that a lot of people can enjoy if they just were to, you know, go out their comfort zone a little bit. It's going to be cool to hear what people say and see how they kind of experience this a little bit differently. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and yeah, should be a fun day. See you guys then. This is kind of like this is like pre-game. I always talk about the day of a pop-up or any day that I'm serving food as game day. And yeah, everything right now is just kind of pre-game, like ritual mindset and stuff like that. Let's say even if you did ruin your food, you have no option. And that's why hospitality is super important, and plating is super important, cutting is super important, all your sides are super important, because all that other stuff that you know, is surrounded by, you know, the barbecue itself really helps elevate the experience. I mean, you could have great food, but if the experience, like, surrounding it just kind of is uncomfortable, like, I've had those experiences before where you go eat at a place, you're like, wow, the food is really good, but I don't know if I ever want to go there again unless it's like to go. You know, and you don't ever want something like that. But when you're able to get the barbecue right, and then, you know, you slowly start to work on the other stuff, or the other way around, where maybe people really, really like you, and then your food just gets better over time. You know, I think it's just the ability to mesh all that stuff together to create something that's, you know, maybe it's new, or maybe it's something that already exists, but it's your own version of it. I think about the very first pop-up that I did, where I didn't know what I was doing, and we were just winging it, and it turned out to be okay. But you know, ever since then, I've always been trying to tweak things, and I think it's a little bit harder to do so when you try to mix it up and do things that are different, because you know, you don't get to practice the same way. I think the cool thing though is that you get to start to work with different conditions and different situations. It only makes you better at, you know, being a cook, serving food, and just doing all that kind of stuff when you have to deal with different factors. So. Alright guys, so we got everything set up right now, and for this particular pop-up, we have orders coming in every 15 minutes. So when it's pre-orders, I just like to know, you know, in each kind of time block, how many people are planning to come, which dishes are going to be, you know, the big bump, and that way you can kind of keep things organized. You can kind of figure out how you want to set up your space within that 15 minutes. It just helps you mentally prepare for going through the entire kind of, you know, shift itself, and figuring out like when you have to push a little bit harder, when you can relax, and you know, once you find your pace, you can kind of cruise from then on. So yeah, we got everything done. There's only two kind of large pushes, so other than that, it should be pretty easy. That way you can just figure out how much we can do. Like this, they're already sliced up, so just put it in the steamer, and these will steam for 5 minutes. So like every 15 minutes, like before, this is like that stock that we used to cook it in, and kind of like French dip, Italian beef, we're just gonna drop it in there, order both of them. We'll just make sure we get out the signals out first, and then so we don't have to rush, and then we'll have to wait for the signals. Yeah.
go on anything.
Huh?
This could go on anything.
Yeah, dude, it's my favorite. Like,
Just
like
grab it with a.
yeah, we'll just unwrap one of these and then they'll just go side by side.
That's good like that.
Yeah, that's right.
If you wanted to
That's
throw the bone,
nice.
I put it like this way on top.
That's like cool.
That's the best it's looked so far.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good.
Everything about this one is because this is such a lattice. Come on in and join the party. Yeah,
It's just raw garlic?
What's that?
Just raw garlic?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That'll do. Really good.
Trays with the sauce stuff on there, just so we can know. We don't have to fill anything up that we blew in a tray. It'll just be for us to know that we have our count, and then afterwards, if it is. I thought we only had one for 5. Is this part of the 530?
Yeah, this is part of 530.
Gotcha.
So juicy.
And we want to serve this today.
So good.
I think that's the best part.
I think so too, man. Me too.
It's okay, we can listen to Michael Jackson, but not R. Kelly.
Right. No comment. Baker with the plating, baby. Good looking plate.
What up?
Having a good day so far. All right, so beautiful plate going out. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Service.
All right, guys, so this is a couple days after the pop-up, and after a couple days just try to think about this last event. It was in my mind, it was a huge success. Everything that I wanted to do for this one was accomplished. Meaning the people who are Korean who might have come, I think they thought of it as another way to eat Korean barbecue. And for people who aren't Korean, I think it was a little bit of a nice introduction to not so much the kalbi part, but maybe all the other panchan, but especially the pork belly dish was one that initially not a lot of people ordered, but we had extra portions with us that day, and as more of those portions came out, a lot of people asked us if we had extra portions of that. So yeah, it was really cool to see people kind of getting involved with the food. I was able to go out there towards the end, and there were a lot of empty trays, which is really nice to see that everyone fully indulged in the experience. So yeah, that was super cool. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. It's a lot harder for me to record videos while I'm doing prep, so hopefully I got enough good footage for you guys to kind of chew on and kind of see behind the scenes of how I like to do things. A lot of things, I couldn't show everything just because things got pretty busy. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.